Afternoon. Firefighters battling raging fires at Knysna in the Western Cape are still trying to come to terms with the death of their colleague. The 24-year-old Bradley Richards succumbed to burn wounds that he sustained while fighting this week's fires on the Garden Route. He was a volunteer fighter. His death brings the death toll to 5. His colleague is fighting for his life in hospital after they were trapped in the fire. Meanwhile, firefighters still have their hands full targeting hotspots and flare-ups. Several areas in Kranzhoek area of Plettenberg Bay have flamed up again. A helicopter and 2 planes are being used to waterbomb the flames. Ground crews are moving around to put the hotspot out, but many of the hotspots are in the valleys and hard to reach areas. Farmers and farm workers are assisting firefighting efforts. For more on the developments around the fires in the Plettenberg Bay, we now cross to our reporter Lerato Thipa, who is in the area. Lerato, welcome to our program. Tell us about the latest developments that have taken place so far. We understand that the wind has picked up again.
A very good afternoon to you. Yes, not as much, but the wind has picked up. Just behind me is actually a hotel called Plettenberg Bay. It's deep inside the valley. So we're speaking to firefighters earlier on, and they were saying that they're actually trying to get the fire to flare up a bit higher before they can start extinguishing it. But they said that it's not such a big fire. Their only concern is that in this area there are a lot of farms. Right behind us, actually about 2 or 3 farms, and that's their concern. And also a few houses as well, very close to the valley as well. So firefighters are there as well, and you can see right now there's also a firefighter filling up his truck. So everyone has really been coming to the station, filling up their truck and going out to try and see how they can contain this fire as well. As earlier on you spoke about the young man who has lost his life, the volunteer firefighter, and while I was standing here speaking to some firefighters, just asking how it happened, they said that he was actually in the midst of a fire in Knysna, and what happened is that he got right in the midst of the fire, right in the center of the fire, and then the smoke came right into his face, and obviously he was choked. And like you said as well, that there's a young man in hospital currently also fighting for his life. So a really sad story, and speaking to firefighters, saying what a determined young man he was and how eager he was as a volunteer to go out in one of the biggest catastrophes in Knysna to go and assist, and little did he know that that would be the last time as he was trying to help other people. So the situation in Knysna right now, also we've had some statistics that about 80% of the fires in Knysna are currently under control. So some good news coming from that area.
I can see a gentleman behind you with a van that has a water container behind him. What exactly is he doing? Is it some kind of a preventative measure for the flames not to spread?
Okay, this man here to the right, he's actually a firefighter and also helping to fight the fires here in the area where we are in. And he's currently filling up his tank. So what they do here is that this is actually a place where firefighters come and fill up their truck. If you see, just if you look at the shot specifically, this is where their tank is. So he would fill this tank up with water and then obviously then be equipped enough to go out and fill it up. So he's currently filling up his tank, and then once his tank is full, they go up, and they've been doing that for the past few hours, coming in, filling up, and then being dispersed to various areas where the fires are still fuming.
Right, Lerato, now what's going to happen? Because at the moment, as we talk about, a casualty and the other firefighter fighting for his life in hospital, what about the preparedness of other firefighters? And is there enough staff complement?
You'd understand that currently there's about 400 firefighters that are deployed from the entire Eastern Cape, and those firefighters are obviously trained. We know that the city of Cape Town has also volunteered some of its firefighters, obviously quality and trained firefighters. So the handful of volunteers, there's really a handful of volunteer fighters. The firefighters that actually are on the forefront are those that are trained and those that are professional. But they were also saying that perhaps there needs to be more training for those that are volunteers, maybe a long duration of training before they're allowed to go and fight in such huge fires. But the quality of firefighters here must also be commended.
Right. From last night, we had some residents were, displaced. Some were running for their lives, and others have lost their homes as we speak. How are they coping? Because there was a WhatsApp group where they were communicating. Some they didn't have water, others didn't have airtime to communicate and call each other to locate their family members, and so on. So what is the latest with regard to their plight?
I think just in terms of water, we just received a media statement that the water levels in Knysna have actually gone down to a worrying level as well. So besides fighting the fires, they also currently have a water crisis in the town as well. But we visited some community centres earlier this morning, and the general feel from people is obviously a lot of satisfaction and contentment that they were provided shelter and food for the past 2 days after they were evacuated for their homes. Most of them obviously want to go back home, but they were saying that going back home is not as easy because back home there's no electricity, back home there's no water, back home they have to face the reality of trying to rebuild their lives. Another worrying factor about those that were evacuated were those that are elderly, those that also had Alzheimer's. There are some who were evacuated who don't know who their family members were because they literally went into someone's house and said to them, come out, the fires, come and get into this bus and leave. So some of them now are in these centres, but identification of who their family members are is a bit hard because they've got various illnesses. So although it was commendable of the work done to take these people out of their home, now that they're in the centres trying to locate families, particularly those with illnesses, that's becoming a challenge. But the care that's been provided there has really been of high quality, 3 meals a day. I don't know how many clothes I saw and how many food parcels I saw and how many donations, particularly to little kids. We saw diapers, we saw tops, we saw nappies, we saw wipes, just people in this community and around coming out in numbers to pledge their support and to donate as much as they can. We understand that also F&B has donated about 10 million rand towards the victims in Knysna, and various organizations have really put out their best foot forward to try to support the people in Knysna and also the surrounding areas.
Well, Lerato, I must tell you, you've already covered the question that I wanted to ask you about how they've been taken care of. But I must say that, you know, this is a thankless job. You guys have been out and about ever since the fire started. So pass my regards to Nomawati Solandle, Yuri Blechnaut, as well as Vanessa Puna. And kudos to you and the cameramen out there. You guys are doing a good job. You kept us in touch and keep on keeping up.
Thank you so much, man. We are called storytellers, and we are here to show the stories that people perhaps cannot see. And above all, we're here just to tell their stories so that somehow, some way, a difference can be made in people's lives. And nothing gives us more joy than that as journalists. So thank you so much to you.
All right. Thank you, Lerato Thipa, coming to us live from Plettenberg. And in the meantime,